Welcome back, everyone. Today I'd like to look for the worst error of the 2021 season. Now I'm going to be sitting back and judging these based on certain criteria, but feel free to let me know if you watched any of these live and what was the worst error made by your team this year. That being said, I thank you for once again checking out my content. If you haven't already, be sure to look at my video on hit by pitches, and if you like the style, then give me a like and subscription, which would be much appreciated, so you can see any future videos I put out. Without further ado, let's break down how I'm going to grade each error. As a perfectly subjective person, these will be solely my opinion and have very little statistical backing, but still some. The main categories in error will be judged by are how easy the play is, how costly it was to the team, and how well the fielder is able to recover. These individual ratings will wrap together nicely with a big bow around it as the embarrassment grade for each error. These grades range from an A, which are the most minor infractions, down to an F for the most serious offenders. And one special play will be crowned with an E for the most exceptional error. I wanted to start out nice and easy with one I anticipate won't get as bad of a score. I wanted to start out nice and easy with one that I don't think will score that highly. It looks to be just a routine grounder to the shortstop, but Dansby Swanson throws it high and pulls Freeman off the bag, leading to a runner on with 2 away. I'll give it a 3 on easiness, as Bodie was really hustling down the line and he had to backhand it to make that play. Jason Hayward was the next hitter up, and Charlie Morton struck him out to end the inning, so I'll give this a 1 on costliness. Checking back in later in the game, Swanson looked as cool as ever with a force out and his hair blowing in the wind, earning him a solid 1 on recovery. Adding all these totals up, I will give him an A-, definitely near the top of the class. Not such a bad error if you need to make an error. Going back towards the back of the class where the less than average students are, here's an error made by Mark Melanson on a swinging butt by Mitch Haniger. I'll give this play a 4, a 5, and a 3, as Melanson was able to nail down the save on the very next hitter, with an asterisk on that, as there was a very dubious strike 3 call courtesy of none other than Angel Hernandez. Speaking of embarrassments, this scores as a solid C average due to it leading to a run, though not factoring into the end result of the game. Next up, I have one of my admittedly favorite players, Sean Murphy. On a sky-high pop-up by then Tampa Bay Ray Mike Brosseau, sent in the air at an angle of 81 degrees, which gave it an expected batting average of only .006. He loses it in the sun, letting it fall to the ground. Even worse, Brosseau doesn't hustle out of the box, compounding the hurt of him reaching thanks to all the A's infielders sitting watching Murphy instead of covering first. Going to the scoreboard, this play earns a 7 for ease, 9 for impact, as Brosseau later scored on a Willy Adames homer and the A's lost by 1 run. Murphy and the rest of the A's deserve an 8 for their collected reaction and just letting Mike stroll to first base. Boil this all together and I'm giving this one a D-, just a perfect storm for a play that deserves consideration for error of the year. Moving on to some more candidates, here's another pop-up, this time hit by Justin Upton. Now, Vlad Jr. is such an amazing hitter for someone his age, and maybe people compared him one too many times to the great Willie Mays, as he goes for the over-the-shoulder catch here, missing one that just lands in fair territory, allowing 2 runs to score. The second run scoring was challenged but upheld after review, hurting the legacy of Vlad's version of the catch. I'm giving this a 7 for ease, 7 for impact with the Jays losing by 3, and a 6 for the reaction as he went 0 for 4 that game, but bounced back in Game 2 of the doubleheader, winning 4-0 on the back of an RBI single by Vladito. Overall, I'm going to give this play a solid C- on the embarrassment scale. I'd like to switch gears to a much more unique type of error and bring up catcher's interference. Although it only occurred 61 times last year, with Jorge Soler accounting for 8 of them, there was only one time where it happened twice with the same hitter in the same game. In fact, I can only find 2 other instances since at least 2010, with Nick Senzel and Jorge Soler accounting for them. The third one happened this year in back-to-back at-bats with Josh Rojas batting and James McCann catching. Now, if you watched my last video, you would have seen Rojas had the most plate appearances without a hit by pitch, which, added to this, consummates in one of the strangest individual seasons in my opinion. Grading these errors, they get a 3 for ease to avoid, as Rojas pretty clearly swung very late, and at least in the second clip, it looked like he was swinging at the glove. Although, he didn't score either time, with the Mets winning by 2, giving this a 2 for impact. And McCann's reaction is just totally understandable, so I give him a 0. The overall grade for these 2 plays is just an A+. I'm not putting any blame on McCann for this. This is just the weirdness of baseball and Josh Rojas. Going back to a more traditional error, here's a crucial one made by Alex Verdugo on a deep drive to center by Nelson Cruz. As Verdugo gets the ball in, Cruz is sliding into third, and second baseman Taylor Motter doesn't help matters by chucking the ball into the dugout, giving Nelson Cruz a Little League grand slam. I'm going to be combining these errors into a singular score, giving the Sox a 6 for ease. Difficult play by Verdugo, but Motter just hurts them by trying to make something out of nothing. The impact of this deserves a 10, turning the third out of the inning into 4 runs for the Rays, sparking a huge comeback where they won 11-10 in 10 innings, making this a huge swing play. The reaction by Verdugo is simply to glare into the sun, hoping to find someone inside it to blame, or maybe wishing on a shooting star that a video like this will never be made, giving him a 7 for reaction. Overall, this has to earn an F, given the double error and massive fallout from this sequence. The last error I'd like to cover for this video is probably one of the most memorable and highlight eligible. I'm sure all of you saw the clip by now of the most brain-dead fielding moment this century on a simple ground ball to first base. The now infamous Will Craig inexplicably tries to tag Javier Baez, and by now the NL Central should know that bad things happen when you try to tag Javi Baez. Instead of simply touching the base, he chases him all the way back to home, then tries to throw out the runner at the plate unsuccessfully. Michael Perez then realizes he can still get Baez out at first and nullify the run, but throws it left to the second baseman running the cover, letting Baez go all the way to second with time for a quick umpiring assist at home. Unquestionably, this is a 10 on easiness. The impact would be a 9. Not only did Contreras score on the play, but Ian Happ blooped in a single the batter after to knock in Baez, providing the 2-run lead that the Cubs needed to win the game 5-3. Fortunately for the Pirates, the attendance that day was only a touch over 7,000, less than 20% of the stadium's capacity. The reaction to this could never have been good, with Craig being demoted 4 days later and getting released within 2 months of the incident. Michael Perez's homer later in the game, however, saved the score, leading me to give this play a 7. Overall, Michael Perez and Will Craig absolutely, unequivocally deserve an E here. This is the worst error of the year for now. Of course, this title might not last forever, as I'm always considering coming back and looking at more errors. That, of course, depends on the success of this video, so please like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this, and have a great day, everyone.